She let him cut in line, then learned his shocking secret. It was supposed to be a normal Friday evening. Rachel adjusted the strap of her tote bag and sighed as she stood in the long ATM line just outside the gas station. She was tired. Her shoes pinched her toes, and her stomach hadn't stopped growling since lunch. The sun had dipped behind the clouds, casting a strange grey over the parking lot, and the wind carried that sticky heaviness that usually meant a storm was coming. That's when he appeared, disheveled, wide-eyed and breathing hard like he'd just run 5 blocks. "Please," the man panted, holding up his hand. "Can I just go ahead? I only need a second. My mum's at the hospital. I left my phone and I need cash for a cab." Rachel blinked. People behind her mumbled. One man scoffed. "You serious? We've all been waiting here too." The stranger looked like trouble. Unshaven, messy clothes, a slight tremor in his fingers, and yet something in his eyes. "Go ahead," Rachel said, stepping back. The others groaned. "You're too nice," someone muttered behind her. The man nodded in gratitude, stepped forward, punched in a few numbers, then nothing. He froze, hands shaking. He wiped at his face and tried again. This time, cash spat out. He grabbed it, turned to Rachel and whispered, "Thank you. You have no idea what you just did." Then he was gone. Rachel didn't think much of it at first. Just another random act of kindness in a city that often forgot what kindness looked like. But the next morning everything changed. She was pouring coffee in her tiny apartment when her phone buzzed. A notification popped up. "Mystery millionaire found after weeks missing, rescued by a stranger at ATM." Below it was a blurry security camera image. Her heart skipped. It was him, the same man, the same desperate face. Except the article said, his name was Liam Carter, CEO of a billion-dollar tech company, reported missing 3 weeks ago. Last seen wandering without ID, the report read. His family feared the worst, but yesterday, thanks to the kindness of a stranger, he was spotted on surveillance footage at a gas station ATM. Rachel's hand trembled. Was this a prank? A social experiment? Was he really A knock at the door made her jump. When she opened it, 2 men in suits stood there. "Miss Rachel Monroe," one of them asked, showing a badge. "We need to ask you some questions about an incident yesterday involving Liam Carter." Her world tilted. I don't know him," she said, instinctively backing up. "Ma'am, this is serious. He mentioned you by name at the hospital before collapsing. He said you saved him." She froze. He was just a guy in line. I didn't—" "He left something behind," the man interrupted. He handed her a sealed envelope. Rachel slowly opened it. Inside was a handwritten note. "You saved me. Please don't trust anyone, not even the ones who come with badges. There's more to this, much more. L." Her breath caught. "What is this?" she whispered. Before the men could respond, a loud crash echoed down the hall. A third man appeared behind them, shouting, "Get away from her! She's not safe with you!" Gunshots rang out. Rachel screamed. The 2 men dove for cover. The envelope flew from her hands. The third man, the one who'd just shot, grabbed her by the arm. "Come with me now if you want to live," he growled, dragging her down the hallway. Rachel didn't know if she was being kidnapped or rescued. All she knew was this: she'd let a stranger cut in line, and her life would never be the same. It all began with a decision that took 5 seconds. Friday evening was always the worst, the kind where exhaustion clung to your skin like sweat, and everyone in the city seemed just as annoyed, just as broke, just as tired. Rachel Monroe stood in a winding ATM queue outside a downtown gas station. It was past 6:30 p.m., and her feet ached in her cheap ballet flats. Her hair, once tucked neatly behind her ears, now hung in loose, wind-swept strands. Her phone buzzed. Again, another overdue bill. This time, it was her electricity. She groaned, tilting her head up to the sky. The air smelled like rain, heavy and pressing down, but no droplets fell. She clutched her tote bag tighter. 4 people stood ahead of her in line. Each one wore that same look of mild frustration, checking their phones, looking over their shoulders. It was a routine Rachel had come to know well. Cash for the weekend, hopefully enough to stretch a few meals and keep the lights on. Then, suddenly, chaos. A man burst from around the corner. He wasn't sprinting, but he was moving fast, desperate. Disheveled hair, a week's worth of stubble, faded black hoodie smeared with something brownish. He had no bag, no wallet in sight. His shoes looked like they'd been soaked and dried a dozen times. "Please," he gasped, holding out a shaking hand. "Please, I just need a second at the ATM. My mom, she's in the hospital. I left everything at home, just need enough for a cab." Everyone stiffened. A guy behind Rachel muttered, "Here we go again." The man looked directly at Rachel, his eyes wide, not just frantic but hollow, like he hadn't slept in days. His fingers trembled as he motioned toward the machine. "Just a second, I swear. I'm not trying to steal. Please." Rachel hesitated. It would be easy to say no. In this city it usually was, but she stepped aside. "Go ahead." The man blinked, almost confused. "Really?" She nodded. "Just be quick." A couple of groans rose behind her. "Unbelievable," said a woman. Another guy let out an exaggerated sigh, but Rachel didn't move. She watched. He rushed forward, tapped at the machine with jittery fingers. "Wrong pin." He cursed softly. Tried. Again, this time a low hum, then the shuffle of money being dispensed. He grabbed the bills, turned to her with watery eyes. "You have no idea what you just did," he whispered, and then he was gone, bolting across the street and disappearing into the dusk. Rachel stood in place for a long second. Something about his voice lingered, not just relief, but fear. By the time she withdrew her own cash, the clouds had cracked open. Cold rain slapped the concrete. She ran the 3 blocks home, drenched by the time she reached her apartment above the laundromat. She didn't think about the man again until the next morning. Saturday, 8:04 a.m. Rachel sipped lukewarm coffee in her kitchen. Her tiny one-bedroom smelled like cinnamon oatmeal and detergent. Bills were spread across the table, rent, electric, her phone service, all due next week. She had $83 to her name. Her phone buzzed. A news alert lit the screen. Breaking: missing millionaire Liam Carter, found in disoriented state tech mogul seen at gas station ATM, rescued by stranger's kindness. Rachel stared. The photo attached was grainy, captured by a security cam. It was him, same hoodie, same messy hair, same haunted eyes. She dropped her mug. It shattered across the floor. Liam Carter, founder of Synapse Tech, missing for 3 weeks. Rachel had read about him briefly a week ago, disappeared without a trace. His company released a vague statement. Some whispered he had a breakdown, others said foul play, and now he was the man she let cut in line. The article said he'd been hospitalized late Friday night, mumbling something about a woman who saved me. His family hadn't been allowed to see him yet. No further details. Rachel stared at her cracked phone screen, goosebumps crawling over her arms. She barely had time to process when someone banged on her door. Knock, knock, knock. She froze. "Miss Rachel Monroe," a deep voice called. "This is Agent Keller. Can we speak with you for a moment?" She opened. The door an inch. 2 men in dark suits stood outside. One held up a government badge. "Homeland Security." Her mouth went dry. "Why?" "You were the last known civilian contact with Mr. Carter before he was found. We need to ask you some questions." Her heart pounded. I didn't even know who he was." The taller man stepped forward. "We're aware. He mentioned your name before he was sedated. Said you helped him." Rachel hesitated. "Helped him? All I did was let him cut in line." The agent reached into his coat and pulled out a small sealed envelope. "He left this for you." She took it with shaking hands. Inside was a note, hastily scrawled in pen, the edges smudged like it had been folded and unfolded a dozen times. Rachel, you showed me kindness when I had nothing. You may be in danger now. Don't trust anyone. Not even the ones who say they're here to protect you. There's more going on than I can explain. They're watching. Please be careful. She read it twice, then looked up, throat tightening. What is this? Before they could answer, a sudden bang shook the hallway. Gunfire, screams. Rachel flinched. The taller agent pulled her back as the second reached for his weapon. A third man, dressed in jeans and a leather jacket, burst from the stairwell. "Get away from her!" he shouted, aiming a gun at the agents. One ducked. The other drew his weapon, too late. Bang! The man in the leather jacket fired twice. Both agents dropped, wounded or dead. Rachel couldn't tell. She screamed, backed into the apartment. "Rachel Monroe!" the man barked. She nodded. "Frozen. No time. We have to go. You're not safe." "Who are you?" she gasped. "Friend of Liam's. I promised I'd protect the person who helped him." He stepped forward, eyes fierce. "They're coming for you next, and they won't." "Ask questions first." He grabbed her wrist. "Wait, my phone." "My bag," she stammered, trying to grab them. "No time." He dragged her down the hallway, Rachel stumbling behind him, sirens blaring faintly in the distance. They burst through the back door into the alley, rain still falling, sky darker than it should have been. Rachel didn't know who to trust. She didn't even know what she'd stepped into. All she knew was this: she'd let a stranger cut in line at the ATM. And somehow, that one act had just flipped her entire life upside down. Secrets and survival rain drenched Rachel's face as the man who called himself Liam's friend dragged her through the back alley. Her flats slipped on the slick pavement. Her lungs burned. Sirens wailed somewhere close by, but everything blurred. The streets, the fear, the storm. "What is happening?" she cried, her voice cracking with panic. "Who are you?" The man slowed for half a second, glanced back. "Name's Cole. Liam sent me. I've been tracking him for days, until you popped up in that footage." Rachel stumbled again. "I'm not involved. I just let him go first. That's it." Cole stopped in his tracks and spun around. "That one moment saved him, and that means you matter now, which makes you a target." They reached a black SUV parked in a narrow service lane. He opened the door and pushed her in, then climbed in after her. In seconds, the vehicle surged forward, tires hissing on wet asphalt. Rachel buckled herself in with shaking hands. Her thoughts raced. Who really was Liam Carter? Why had he vanished? And who wanted him silenced so badly they'd come after her? She pulled the note from her coat pocket and read it again. "Don't trust anyone, not even the ones who say they're here to protect you." Cole drove like a man with a plan. Every turn seemed pre-mapped, every alleyway familiar. "You said you're a friend of Liam's," Rachel said, voice low. "So what exactly is going on?" He glanced in the rearview mirror. Liam didn't just vanish, he ran. Someone inside his company, maybe more than one person, was trying to eliminate him. Why? He found something big. Data manipulation. Illegal surveillance tech being funneled through his systems without his approval. He tried to shut it down, and that's when things went bad. Rachel stared. "And he told you this?" Cole nodded. "Over a burner phone. Then he disappeared. Everyone thought he was dead, until yesterday, when he tried to get enough cash to make it to the one place he trusted." "The hospital?" "No. A safe house, but he never made it. They tracked him. And when you helped him, well, you got caught in the blast zone." Rachel let that sink in. "The ATM, the cash, the note, it was all real. I don't understand why he didn't go to the police. He didn't know who to trust. When billion-dollar secrets are involved, even law enforcement can be bought." A lump rose in her throat. "So what now?" Cole looked at her, face suddenly soft. "Now, we disappear. For a while." The hideout. An hour later, they pulled up to a quiet, broken-down farmhouse just outside the city. The paint was chipped, the windows dusty, But the moment Cole unlocked the gate, the perimeter lights blinked on. "Liam's backup safe house," he said. "Very few people know about this place." Inside, the air smelled like cedar and cold. Metal. It was surprisingly high-tech. Monitors, satellite feeds, motion sensors on every wall. There was even a small medical station in the back room. Rachel sat heavily on the couch, trying to catch her breath. Her soaked clothes clung to her. "Skin?" Cole handed her a towel and a bottle of water. "I just wanted to pay my electric bill," she whispered, laughing bitterly. "Now I'm in a spy movie." He almost smiled. "Yeah, it escalated fast." Rachel stared at him. "You're not law enforcement, are you?" "Nope. Ex-private security. I owed Liam a favor." "Why?" He hesitated. 5 years ago, I was in a bad place. Debt, drinking, no future. Liam gave me a second chance, hired me, trusted me. He believed in people like no one else did." Rachel looked down at her hands. "He believed in me too, and I barely did anything." "Don't sell yourself short. You listened. You showed compassion when no one else would." A long silence settled between them. Rain tapped against the windows. Somewhere far off, thunder rolled. The trap that night, while Cole kept watch, Rachel couldn't sleep. Her mind replayed everything in loops: the ATM, the agents, the gunshots. She tried calling her sister from a burner phone, just to hear a familiar voice, but it went straight to voicemail. Probably for the best. The fewer people involved, the safer they'd be. At 3:17 a.m., Cole burst into her room. "Get up. We've been pinged." "What?" Rachel sat up, heart leaping. "They've got drones scanning rural areas. We need to move. Now." Rachel grabbed the few things she'd unpacked while Cole shut down the monitors and wiped all traces of their presence. Within minutes, they were back in the SUV, heading deeper into the hills. But as they reached a turn near an old logging road, a spike strip appeared in the headlights. "Hold on!" Cole yelled, jerking the wheel. The SUV crashed into the ditch. The airbags exploded. Rachel's ears rang. She tasted blood. Someone banged on the window. Flashlights, voices. "Out! Hands up!" Cole was already moving. He kicked open his door and fired once. Screams. Gunshots returned. Rachel ducked down, breath shallow, heart racing. Someone opened her door and grabbed her arm. "You're coming with us." "No!" she screamed, struggling. Then a voice from the trees shouted, "Stop! Let her go!" Her captor turned. A figure stepped out from the shadows. It was Liam, thin, bruised, wearing a hoodie and jeans soaked in rain, but alive. "Let her go," he said again, holding something in his hand. Looked like a thumb drive. "I'll give you what you want. Just let her go." The man holding Rachel hesitated, then shoved her forward. She stumbled into Liam's arms. "I thought you were," she whispered, "dead." He smiled weakly. "Almost." Cole limped toward them, bleeding from the temple. "We've got about 2 minutes before they regroup." Liam held up the drive. "This has everything: names, accounts, code, everything they were hiding." Rachel looked at him. "Then let's burn them to the ground." One final chase. They didn't go to the police. Instead, Liam used an old connection at a global news agency, a reporter he once dated who hated corruption more than anything. They arranged a midnight meet in a public place, a crowded train station. Rachel, Cole, and Liam walked through the chaos like ghosts. Every announcement made her flinch. Every uniform made her heart race. The reporter, a woman in a red coat named Ava, hugged Liam like she'd seen a ghost. "You really did it," she whispered, eyes brimming. "You survived." He handed her the drive. "The world needs to see this." "You'll be hunted," she warned. "We already are," Rachel said. Ava disappeared into the crowd. 30 minutes later, across the world, the story broke. Backlash and truth news outlets exploded. Headlines blared: surveillance scandal, synapse tech. Whistleblower exposes government collusion. Billionaire CEO disappears, reappears with explosive claims. One woman's kindness exposes national cover-up. Rachel's name was kept out of it, at Liam's request, but she watched the fallout from a safe house in Canada, Liam and Cole by her side. Arrests were made. Executives vanished. Some resigned. Some were dragged into court in handcuffs. Protests followed. Liam's company was dismantled. But his name, finally, was cleared. And Rachel, she disappeared from public life, a new identity, a fresh start. She now worked quietly for a non-profit that helped whistleblowers and vulnerable survivors, funded anonymously by Liam Carter. The past resurfaces snow fell lightly across the forest edge as Rachel sat in the cabin window, staring at the quiet Canadian morning. A mug of herbal tea warmed her hands, but her thoughts were far from calm. 3 months had passed since the day everything changed, since the ATM line, since the gunshots, since the revelation that one act of kindness had pulled her into a world of betrayal, corruption, and danger. Now she lived under a different name, in a protected sanctuary deep in British Columbia. The cabin was equipped with solar panels, an encrypted satellite line, and a rotating security team, usually Cole, who stayed close. Liam checked in once or twice a week, sometimes via video, sometimes with sudden visits and half a smile. She hadn't seen her old apartment, her old life, or even her sister since that day. Some nights it still felt like it hadn't happened, but then she'd remember the note, the warning: don't trust anyone, not even those who say they're here to protect you. She remembered the look in Liam's eyes the night he returned, haunted, fragile, and grateful. Now, as the fire crackled and the woods whispered with wind, Rachel heard footsteps on the porch. Cole stepped inside, dusting snow from his boots. "Package. And for you," he said, holding up a small cardboard box with no return address. Rachel froze. "You checked it?" He nodded. "X-rayed. No threats, but I'd still open it slowly." She took the box, heart thumping, and sat at the table. Inside was a stack of old photographs wrapped in faded paper. A note lay on top. "You don't know the full truth, Rachel. You never did. Look closely at the last picture." L. Her blood ran cold. She spread the photos across the table. They were black and white, clearly decades old. The first few showed a small boy playing in a backyard. The others showed a woman, early 30s, kind eyes, soft smile, standing beside a man in a military uniform. Rachel blinked. That woman. She looked familiar. Then she reached the final photo and her hands began to shake. It was a grainy picture of a hospital room. In the bed was a woman hooked up to machines, and standing beside her was Rachel's mother. Next to her stood a younger man, Liam Carter. Her breath hitched. "No," she whispered. "That's not possible." Cole leaned in. "What is it?" Rachel clutched the photo. "That's my mother, but she died when I was 17, before Liam ever became famous." Cole was silent. Then how was he in that photo? Rachel stared at the frozen image. That hospital, that was the last time I saw her alive. She died of liver failure. Cole frowned. But Liam was already in tech by then. His age wouldn't match this photo. Rachel's thoughts spun in 1,000 directions. Could it be a doctored photo? Was it all a manipulation, or had Liam known her mother? Known her before all of this? The visit that evening, Rachel confronted Liam during his next video call. "Who is the woman in that photo?" she asked, holding it up to the camera. Liam's face changed. His usual calm cracked. He looked like a man who'd just seen a ghost. "She told me not to tell you," he said quietly. "Tell me what?" Rachel whispered. "That I owed her, that if anything ever happened to her, I should look out for you, protect you, make sure you never ended up like her." Rachel felt the ground tilt beneath her. "You knew my mother?" Liam nodded slowly. "Years ago. Long before the fame, before Synapse Tech, I was a dropout, homeless, living out of an old. Evan, she found me behind a diner one night, brought me food. I didn't even ask. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. She used to do that, she whispered. Bring strangers sandwiches. She said we all needed kindness, especially the invisible. Once, she saved my life, Liam said. And when I got my first funding, I tracked her down. I wanted to repay her, but by then she was sick. She refused money, but she made me promise one thing. He looked directly into the camera. She said, if anything happens to me and my daughter ever needs someone, be that person. Even if she doesn't know she needs it. Rachel covered her mouth. She told me she had a daughter named Rachel, that she was shy, quiet, stronger than she knew, that someday the world might be cruel to her. And if I ever found her, if fate brought us together, I'd know. The silence between them was deafening. So when you saw me at the ATM, she whispered, I knew your face. You looked just like her. I didn't know if it was a coincidence. I didn't even know your name yet. But when you stepped aside, when you showed me kindness again, just like she did, I knew it was you. Tears spilled down Rachel's cheeks. I thought I was just helping a stranger, she said. You were, Liam said gently, but I wasn't. A new target, the next day everything changed again. Cole burst into the room, breathless, a laptop in. And you both need to see this. Someone's targeting you now. He placed the laptop on the table and pressed play. It was a news report. A young woman stood in front of Rachel's old apartment. This woman, Rachel Monroe, vanished just days after helping a mentally unstable billionaire at a downtown ATM. Sources now say she may have been involved in fabricating the whistleblower. Story for personal gain, Rachel gasped. That's a lie. It's a hit piece, Cole said. Someone's trying to erase your credibility. They want to ruin you before you can speak again. Liam's voice came over the speaker. They're using the media, controlling the narrative. Rachel's hands clenched into fists. They think they can shame me back into silence, but they're wrong. Cole nodded grimly. There's more. Someone hacked into the safe houses. Encryption last night. We're compromised. Liam's voice sharpened. Rachel, you need to come to me. There's something I've been working on. If we release it now, we can shut them down. But you have to get here without being seen. Where? Rachel asked. Liam looked around. I'm in Montreal, Safe House 7. Cole knows the route. Get here fast. And Rachel, he paused, if anything happens to me before you arrive, open the red case under the desk. Rachel nodded. We're coming. The red case 2 days later, after hiding in abandoned barns and changing cars twice, Rachel and Cole reached the safe house, but something felt wrong. The door was open. Snow blew across the threshold. Inside, it was silent. Liam! Rachel called, stepping inside. No answer. The computers were still running, coffee still warm, but no Liam. Then she saw it, tucked under the desk. A locked red case. She grabbed. The key Liam had given her. Opened it. Inside was a tablet, a USB drive, and a sealed letter. She opened the letter first. Rachel, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. I'm sorry I couldn't be there to tell you this in person. But everything you need is on this drive, the final program I designed to take down the system from the inside. The surveillance grid, the dark web accounts, the shell companies, it's all tied together. Uploading this will expose everything. But there's one catch. You can't do it from here. You'll have to get to the main relay tower near Ridgefield. That's the only place the signal can't be blocked. I trust you, Rachel. I always have, just like she did. Finish this. Rachel held the letter to her chest, heartbreaking. Do you think he's still alive? She whispered. Cole didn't answer. Instead, he loaded the drive, checked the map, then looked at her. If we do this, there's no going back. Rachel wiped her tears, lifted her chin. I never wanted to be a hero, but my mother helped a stranger, and now I know why. She took a deep breath. We end this. The final upload. The old truck rumbled over snow-covered gravel roads as dawn broke behind the mountains. Rachel gripped the steering wheel, eyes sharp, the red case on the passenger seat beside her. Cole sat silent, scanning their surroundings. Every bump, every bird call in the trees made them both flinch. They were headed toward Ridgefield, a remote radio tower nestled high above the valley. It was the only place Liam's program could be uploaded without being intercepted. And if Liam was still alive, it was their best chance to find him again. Rachel hadn't slept in nearly 2 days, but this wasn't about rest. It was about finishing what her mother started, what Liam risked everything for. And maybe it was about finding the version of herself she never knew existed. The ambush. They were less than 2 miles from the tower when the road suddenly ended. A fallen tree blocked the path. Cole jumped out, rifle in hand, inspecting the scene. "That's not storm damage," he muttered. "This was cut recently." Rachel's gut twisted. Just then, 2 black SUVs emerged from the woods. Men in tactical gear poured out, faces covered, weapons raised. "Go! Get out!" Cole shouted, firing back as Rachel grabbed the case and bolted into the trees. Bullets cracked through branches. Rachel sprinted, heart hammering, ducking logs and leaping roots. Cole's voice echoed behind her, then silence. She didn't look back. She ran until the trees thinned and a steel tower appeared above her, rusted but tall, humming faintly. The relay tower. She dropped to her knees behind a boulder, panting. Snow melted against her skin as she fumbled with the case, yanked out the tablet and drive. The tablet lit up instantly, Liam's interface glowing on screen. Signal found. Begin. Upload? Rachel clicked yes. A countdown began. 10%, 17%, 24%. Voices shouted in the woods. She ducked lower. Her hands trembled. Her breath fogged the screen. 6%, 43%, 51%. A single figure stepped out of the woods. It wasn't a soldier. It was Liam, bloodied, limping, but alive. "Rachel, stop the upload," he cried. She stared at him, confused. "What?" He stumbled closer. "It's a trap. They got into my system. The program you're uploading, it's corrupted. If it finishes, it won't expose them. It'll erase everything. Years of evidence, all gone." Rachel's mind reeled. "How do I know you're really Liam?" He stopped, chest heaving. "Because your mother gave me something else. Something she said I should only tell you if I ever lost control of the truth." He took a breath. "When you were 10, you used to sit by the front door every day at 4 p.m., waiting for someone who never came. You told her, 'I think if I wait long enough, maybe Dad will remember me.'" Rachel's eyes filled with tears. No one else knew that. Liam reached into his coat, pulling out a second drive. "This is the real one. I hid it in my shoe. You have to swap it now." The swap. She hesitated only a second before yanking the corrupted drive from the tablet. The screen flickered, upload interrupted, then settled again as she inserted Liam's real version. "Program verified, authentic signature detected. Resume upload?" "Do it," Liam urged. Rachel hit confirm to 2%, 23%, 38%. Gunfire rang out. "Again from below. They found us," Liam said, but neither of them moved. 2%, 75%, 89%. "I'm sorry," Rachel whispered. "For what? For doubting you, for not knowing sooner who you really were." Liam gave her a broken smile. "You gave me more than I ever gave you. You reminded me why I started all this." 100% upload. Complete. Transmission sent. The screen blinked. Then a message appeared. Data sent to Interpol, Global Watch, 5 press outlets. Systems breached. 37 black accounts frozen. 216 billion. Liam exhaled. "It's done." Then a sniper round hit. "The rock inches from their heads. Run!" He shouted. The collapse. They didn't get far. A deafening explosion shook the mountain. One of the SUVs had launched a rocket. The blast hit the base of the tower, sending steel and snow flying in every direction. Rachel and Liam were thrown back, tumbling through branches. Rachel's head slammed against a tree. Darkness. The rescue. She woke up in a hospital bed. Bright lights. Soft beeping. Her body ached with every breath. "Hey," a voice said gently. "Liam, alive. Arm in a sling. Face bruised but smiling. You're safe," he said. "We made it." Rachel blinked, trying to sit up. "The data. All over the news," he said. "World governments are scrambling. Warrants, arrests, frozen accounts. Some of the worst people in the world are being dragged into the light because of you." She looked at him. "No, because of us." 3 months later, Rachel stood at the same ATM where it all began. A little boy tugged at his mother's coat behind her, asking for a snack. The mother looked stressed, tired. Rachel reached into her bag and handed the boy a granola bar with a smile. "Kindness matters," she said gently. She looked up at the sky. Her mother would be proud. Epilogue. The foundation, a sign hung on. A new glass building in the city, the Evelyn Monroe Center for Digital Freedom, founded by Liam Carter and Rachel Monroe. The center offered legal protection to whistleblowers, ethical tech education for low-income students, and funded cybercrime investigations around the globe. Inside, Rachel worked daily, quietly, tirelessly, changing lives with the same belief. Her mother once shared that one small act of kindness can ripple into something powerful. The end.